rogue and select Yoru. I don't want to see it though.
Yeah, and it could work out if Bad does decide to do this, but lots of times still on the clock ticking down for Agent Select, so Bad has a chance to redeem himself, or it might be just trolling all of us as viewers at home. And there's a full comp locked out for Seekers. They are running the double controller, and we did see some success on this comp earlier in the day when we first saw Bind being played, where the Viper's Pit was so strong there. As Bad is going to go back to the bread and butter of Sky.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you, Bad. That would have been bad. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Don't worry, I got my one earlier today. You got yours right now.
Man, it is an absolute. It's going to be an exciting match.
Yeah, and before we get into it, I'm really excited to see this. For me personally, I'm more biased towards these double initiator comps. I really like playing for the information and for fighting, because when I think about the game, I think that the controllers don't have the best utility for taking straight gunfights, and at the end of the day, gunfights are more important. And so that's why I kind of like these double initiator comps more, because they set up other teammates for those fights. Whereas double controller, you control space, but it doesn't help you take fights. So it really depends on what you value more when it comes to the game of Valorant and what you think the recipe for success in this game is. And I want your opinion on this before we actually get into the first match. Matt.
So the double controller is going to be an effective way to get into the site since they're starting over on attack, but that lack of information might things a little bit sketchy moving further into angles that aren't cleared. Speaking of angles that aren't cleared, we're actually going to see ones that are. Time is going to be the one that takes Sanji's head off with that frenzy in an absolute stream of madness. And we see Yuki trying to push over through the smoke. Eden kind of keeping his line of sight of it, but also jiggling between short and then showers. He's kind of left alone with no one to back him up, but it's okay. Fractured coming up through the pipes to help support, and we see a 2-2 split by Godset, both on A and B.
Yeah, they're going to hold a little bit, wait for the Viper utility to charge up to full, and now their hits going to start. Nice right click there from Eden, gets two. Very big play there by Godset Eden. And Fracture's going to start trying to knife through this barrier orb, and Scarecrow's going to be sitting right on the other side of it. Jax holding for that position. It's going to be a 3v4 retake scenario. They're going to try to free up more space towards short, breaking the other pillar on the barrier orb. Peeking out of Scarecrow, and Yuki also getting one onto Fracture. 3v2 situation now for Seekers, and now it's gonna just be the 1v2 for FaceKid. Can FaceKid do it? It is a crossfire coming out from Yuki and Scarecrow.
One enemy remaining.
A very nice dink and a little bit of a spray down. Yuki goes ahead and falls, but Scarecrow just shows off that little bit of raised difference, as much of a difficult pill as it is to swallow.
Yeah, and that's going to be the 13-0 opportunity taken away from Godset, the one that you wanted so badly. Good round coming out from the side of Seekers. It's going to put them up 1-0, and now the Spectre round ensues.
This is the anti-eco, and the Marshal as well onto time. For those of you that don't know or aren't aware, the body shot by the Marshal to any player without armor is going to be a kill. What are we looking at? Bad? What are you doing? Huh? Him and FaceKid are just... Yeah, I don't know what they're doing, man.
Romantic moment in garden.
Really... What a sharing a romantic kiss. The flash comes out, and Bad is going to be taken out by Sultanate in a Sky difference matchup. FaceKid is going to be the one seeing the next bird, but not quite flash, and he's going to move into a little bit of an off angle there in garden.
Now the rotations are coming back out, and it looks like Seekers want to move towards A. They have their Sky player, Sultanate, still lurking towards the B position to just make some noise and gather some information. Lots of utility being dropped towards short. Paranoia as well, and Scarecrow's going to find Eden with the paint shells. Nice tag coming out as well from the recon dart, but Sanji opting not to shoot for time. Stay posted in that position though.
I like this position by Sanji. If he can just make it in front of the scope, he lands the shot onto time, and that's a gun on the board. It's a Marshal, but he can make work with it. Scarecrow, though, is going to again show off a little bit of that raise difference potential, but easily gets traded out. Fractured with the classic. We were talking about it earlier. That gun is an absolute menace. Sanji scoped in and loses that line of sight. You can't see the full field of vision when you're scoped in. Sanji suffers the consequences. It's 2-0 away from Godset.
I think what would have been really nice from Godset there was instead of having Bad walk down B long, they actually take Face Kid and Face Kid walks down B long. In that situation, then Bad can actually flash forward Face Kid and Face Kid can be safely running in. But instead, Bad is going to be caught out with that early Sky Guiding Light in hand and cost him his life. And the role reversal there could have actually made the round go the other way.
Not the lineup. Yuki good for 2. Face getting Eden put into the ground, and that is a buy round easily going to waste. Godset needs to deny these weapons, but Sanji is a lone survivor on the A side. There's nothing he can do but give it up. Fractured moving back away with him, and they're just waiting for Bad to approach the site. This is not the kind of situation you want to see if you're Godset. Or me.
Yeah, the spacing is just not it there. When you're pushing up short and clearing left and right angles, you need to be so conscious of the player that you're walking with. And generally, it's the second player that's behind that only can be aware that, oh, whether or not they're lining up. And Yuki, nice aggressive push through the Viper Poison Orb is going to find Bad as well. And that's another gun converted over to Seekers. And it's only Fractured left in the 1v4 and can't even try to save as Salt Nate comes up behind Fractured for the backstab. 3-0 for Seekers.
A lot of 3-0s today, Bowser. I mean, not just here in this map, but we've seen it in 2-3 maps before. I think almost every map, actually. What is going on?
It's really just the lack of discipline and strategy on how to play around the SMGs of the other team. If you take fights that are close range, then the Spectre has an advantage over you. The spray control on a Spectre, plus the running gun potential on that gun, makes it so potent at mid-ranges and close ranges. So you need to find the longest angles on the map and try to run strats around it. And one of those long angles would be to play the extremities, so the B-long position as well. But as this is happening, Time and Salt Lake find 2 and Eden trades for 1 back. Scarecrow finding another one onto Fracture too.
A little bit of a difficult positioning here for Godset on the defense. They're split up 1-1. It's Face Kid lone on the site with merely a Sheriff. Oh, nice gun buddy over there. Is that a Radiant gun buddy? Wow, I've never seen one of those before. I'm hard stuck flat.
Yeah, I can relate to that. And the thing is, right now, Face Kid is still not checked. So Face Kid could find the timing and kill 2 here, but let's see if he can. There's the first! No flick onto Yuki means Yuki gets the trade back, and now it's down to Bad in the 3v1.
Oh, Bad lands a nice headshot onto the Scarecrow. He pushes that Hawk out, but no sign of presence. He has some slight idea that someone is here in the showers. He has the dog, but no, opts for the peek instead. Yuki finding that angle first and ends Bad with a headshot. 4-0 for the favor of Seekers here on the attack.
Yeah, and the pattern continues. There's going to be a 5th round that's going to be guns, and if it goes over to Seekers, it's been like this for most of the day, where teams start off really, really hot 5-0, and it's really just down to whether or not they can dig deep and stop any comebacks from happening, or if the teams can reverse the roles. And especially on a map like this is actually really bad for Godset, because I would say that this map is slightly defense-sided and probably like a 7-5 defense-sided map too. So the fact that Seekers already have 4 is huge here. Face Kid with a solo peek against Time or against Scarecrow, excuse me, and Time is able to trade that one out.
A little bit of a stall smoke here by Eden, but also allows him to position under the hookah, which is a little bit of a cheese spot, but it does make him good for 1 if it's not checked. Yuki, in the meanwhile, lurking up the showers, trying to create some sense of presence, and this wall is actually cutting off the lines of sight between Fractured and Sanji, so this is going to force Fractured to actually back up. And, oh, forget about it. He's moving all the way over to B to try and reinforce that site, knowing his tripwires are holding short A. Here comes Yuki a little bit more, and these lines of sight are just about to cross. We're waiting ever so patiently. Speaking of patience, Eden's does not pay off. Time and time again, making those easy picks with the brimstone. And Yuki here lurking is going to find another onto Sanji. It's 4 versus 2 in the favor of Seekers yet again. And they're moving over to A. No clue. Godset without a hint that it's going to be an A. They were thinking it ends B with that pick from Eden.
Yeah, and that's just Seekers outplaying Godset in the rotations, the macro, the micro, everything is Seekers right now. And so maybe Fractured and Bad together might be able to change this, but Seekers are not giving it to them. They're not peeking. They're just holding. They're waiting. Double taking the U-Haul plus the Poison Orb as well, and that's going to let him walk Sultanate over, and they're going to choose to fall back. They're double guiding light coming out, the second one connecting. And it's just Fractured and Bad here. Bad takes the first fight, Yuki wins. Fractured alone, finds the first. And there's the trade over by Yuki.
Absolutely nuts by Seekers, just constantly taking pressure. Now, what I'm seeing is their A-Tech really, I mean, they are pushing up showers, they are showing presence, but we're constantly seeing that very traditional Sage Wall to close off the truck and the double stack wood box. And this actually creates a little bit of a funnel for them. Godset needs to catch on to this pattern because they have the utility, the paint shells, the flashes, that Tasmanian Tiger, as well as the shock darts to kind of punish Seekers for using such a close quarter space, but we're just not seeing it quite yet.
Yeah, one thing I want to see from Godset on the defense side is to play for more heavy showers control. Oh, nice shot there by Eden, though.
Oh, the drone comes out and the smoke. Oh, a little bit of a shot. Is it going to spot? Time does not seem like it. And I think he might find a timing to find a pick onto Godset. Sanji here diligently holding. And Eden using a teleport to keep the players in showers guessing. He knows someone is still left in there. He has a hunch. He just doesn't want to let them know his own position.
And the Execute is coming out on the side of Seekers. 4v3 situation. There's the wall once again, but without the showers control that I was mentioning earlier, you can't really spam this wall safely. Oh, nice shot there by Scarecrow. One from Bad as well, and now it's just a 2v3 situation with Scarecrow with the Showstopper, and if he's able to reposition somewhere else into short, this should be a very, very tough round for the side of Seekers. Godset, though, Fractured wrapping all the way around short. It's going to catch Scarecrow in the back. That's going to eliminate the Showstopper from the equation. And that's good. They're also going to get the Cypher ult down as well. And Jack's going to find one. Base Kid trades back. Sultanate with the nice guiding light. It's going to stop Base Kid for a while, but Base Kid tries to go for the Showstopper. He's going to stick half here. Sultanate with the couple free fires. Going to miss the tracking a little bit, but Base Kid as well is not able to close it down. And that's going to be a good round eco coming out from Godset, but a better round from Seekers to still win that one out.
Seeing that Showstopper's whiff absolutely hurts. Listen, Bowser, maybe a little bit of a controversial opinion, but that is not an 8-point ultimate right there. All right, that's a 7-point ultimate at best.
Yeah, 7 or 8, it doesn't matter if it doesn't connect to anyone, and that's a little bit unfortunate from Face Kid there, just sending it too deep, not aware that they could be in shower or U-Haul, excuse me, in that 1v1 situation, and not using it to even stick half, and makes it very tough round. And from that, Seekers are going to be up 6-0, and that's going to be a timeout call, and there's going to be a lot to talk about if you're Godset here. There's so many things that they need to fix up, and one of those being that showers control towards A site. They haven't had that control, and if they are able to obtain it on this rifle round here, I think it would go a lot better for them, as if you have like a Raze in there, for example, the Boombot is quite good at that, taking that choke early on, and the paint shells can bounce off of the front of the truck to stop plant, which allows you more time to spam the Sage Wall to stop plant even more, force them to rotate towards B, and hopefully if you have like the 2 towards showers, that it really stops those A plays. But what they're opting to do instead is still just leave their Cypher util towards a short, and it looks like they're playing outside of showers and not in showers still.
I feels like the early punishment in the first few rounds where they got kind of collateraled and sprayed down has really led to a lasting effect on their mental, being fearful to enter into that area.
Yeah, very interesting play from Godset just then. They double walked through Belong, and it left Hookah completely open. If Seekers were a little bit more aware on that B push, and then would check to Hookah or look for information on A, they would have known that there's only 2 players walking down Belong, but Godset gets that information for free. Showstopper comes out, though.
Scarecrow missing his showstopper of his own. Sanji in the back of the site, zoned off completely by these sky smokes in a bit of a cheeky angle, but caught out by Scarecrow. It's okay. FaceKid is there to trade him out. He does not go down in vain. It is a 4-4 situation, but Seekers has actually taken ground towards B. The Viper's Pit goes down, and look at that placement of the ultimate to control CT almost 100%. And just as I say that, Bad is the one to take down Yuki and end that Viper's Pit in all of its mass. Here we see a quick retake. Fractured going to take the head off of Time, and Sultanate responds in kind with Bad. 2 versus 2 situation. And let's see what magic Fracture can make when he's in the back of the site. And timing's jacked for a headshot. A flash goes out, but it's not enough to stop the likes of Eden. Here it is, the first round for Godset 1-6.
Yeah, and that round was really well played initially by the side of Seekers. They faked an A hit so hard with Scarecrow coming out and one towards Showers while the rest of the team was moving towards the B side. But once they got there, they weren't able to keep the Viper's Pit alive, and that costed them a lot there as the retake becomes so much easier if they don't have to walk through that Viper's Pit. Yuki, just unfortunate, might have gotten sprayed through smoke, couldn't really quite see what happened there, but if Yuki just puts down that Viper Pits and plays outside the pit on site with the rest of the team for a little longer, might have gone the other way as the retake would have been slowed down quite tremendously.
Oh, that dog being killed lets a FaceKid play a little bit of an off angle, and here comes Time, drop dead. Here's the paint shells to zone off people from the spike. The Seekers are going to be destroyed as well, and FaceKid even opts to stay exactly where he is to be good for 3, making colors fly, painting blood across the sand. Scarecrow and Yuki can respond, but it's a 2v3. They're a man down, giving up a little bit of information. Out comes the Hunter's Fury from Sanji. He gets a little bit of pick onto Yuki. Forget it. It's the full kill. It's a 1v3 scenario, and Scarecrow does have the spike, but he is in for a treat in this kind of a 1v3 scenario with no util to spare. He needs at least a kill to get access to those paint shells again.
Scarecrow gets a tap on the head, gets another headshot somewhere else as well, but only one of those converting into kills as Eden is able to trade back. That would have been very scary if that tap had connected. If he had a Vandal or some different gun that had one-shot headshots, that could have gone any other way.
This is beginning to look like the Godset that I know. They're picking up this round, but let me keep my fingers crossed and knock on wood. I'm not trying to jinx my boys. It is a strong showing by Seekers, the way that they're approaching these sites. It's keeping me on the absolute edge of my seat, and every time they approach another ultimate, they're showing how perfectly they know how to use them. But perfection is not the aim of the game when it comes to the firefights. Bad comes out on top, and it is a player down for Seekers.
Yeah, big pickup there from Godset. Nice double aggression coming out from the Sky Rays. And it's kind of like what I said earlier. The Sky's got to be flashed for the Rays. Yuki, though, is able to trade back on Sanji, who's fighting solo from the triple stack position while Fractured is playing in a retake spot.
Oh, here come the short throw paint shells to kind of zone people off of the spike plant, even with a pick of his own, but traded out by Jax. A 3v3 scenario. Fractured, you're going to get run up on, but okay. He crouches to avoid the spray, and FaceKid is going to follow up with a kill on his own, avenging Eden. Jax, the killer, is going to fall, and so will his teammate Time. FaceKid coming up, good for 2. 3-6 for Godset. It seems that they found their groove here, Bowser.
Yeah, as much as it does seem like they found the groove, there are a couple gunfights that go the other way there, especially that Fractured one from Sultanate. could have changed the round, as that would have opened up a lot more space for Seekers to go for that plant there. But it's the solo plays that are coming out, the lack of discipline from both teams that are kind of swinging these rounds in different ways. For example, the first one, Sanji dying solo on the triple stack, should not have been peeking that without Fractured swinging with him there. Oh, and they're going once again for the super play.
This time around, it does get predictive, but Bad is going to trade out the kill that was given up to Seekers. And Eden as well going to make an aggressive play of his own solo. And that's the kind of play that's very unexpected in these high-level tournaments. We don't expect these individual peaks. On the eco round, Seekers just wants to make a move anywhere. The orb is going to give away their presence, and Bad is even going to spot one to boot.
Salt Nate with the Sheriff and Garden. It's going to get caged off, but a crack is left over. It's going to find the headshot through that crack. Fractured probably did not intend to do that. Jax is going to get spotted out by the Tasmanian Tiger there. And now they have got lots of space to be worried about. Scarecrow getting very aggressive here with Jax on the left of him. One gun to boot. They're going to go for the res onto time here, and that's going to be the paranoia response. There's a swing as well, eating good for 2. Going to find the third as well as the headshot onto Scarecrow. Now it's just Salt Nate left in the
30
eco.
seconds left.
6-3 is the score, but it's going to probably be 4-6 for Godset, as they've got 3 posted here.
Bad? Bad? You stole Eden's ace? Bad? Okay. He's benched. He's benched. That's it. I don't... There's no way! That's an absolutely hype round.
I think Bad got the first one, so I don't think it was an ace just quite. It was a 3K, though, for Eden. Very big round still, nonetheless. Or might have been
we see it,
the res. Oh, it is the res.
The res.
Yeah.
The resurrection. How could he do this? How could they do this to my boy? Look what they've done to him.
The big stick. The operator is out for Fractured in that heaven position. So they've got 3 towards 8 as well as an op. This site should not be taken very easily. But there is a showstopper as well as the orbital strike from the side of the Brimstone. So there is a chance that they can remove 2 or 3 players before they get into any gunfights just off utility alone here.
No information there for that wolf out of Bad. And Yuki's working his way up a little by little. I think they've become suspect to how the B players on Godset have been pushing out either Hookah or Belong rather regularly. So I like the way that Seekers kind of plays a default a little bit further back just to avoid utility and then confirm presence. See, now they're wasting away at Bad's Flash and Wolf, so they know that B's a little bit weaker in terms of utility.
40 seconds to go on this round. There's still lots of utility on the side of Godset. Seekers are just slowing down a little too much in my opinion, but Scarecrow's going to get blocked on the satchel out, and the showstopper's not going to find anything now, but the execute comes through still. Double ults used on the side of Seekers for nothing in return. Face Kid's going to get one through the smoke as well, and the spike is finally going to get planted.
Spike planted.
FaceKid has a showstopper of his own. I wonder if he's going to opt to use it, especially with the kind of positioning that Seekers has. He's good for at least one, depending on any of the approaching angles. Sanji's actually going to get information. No, Sultanate gets into that smoke, denying anything, and the showstopper whiffs just as Scarecrow's did. You see a little bit of post-plant position. Scarecrow good for 1, and Bad finding the pick onto time. So we see Hookah in the favor of Seekers and Long in the favor of Godset. It's a 2v2 scenario. Make it 2v1. Fracture needs to make something happen. He lands the kill, but the time is slowly ticking away. He needs to get it to at least half. No, he goes for the spike and cannot land these shots fast enough. Sultanate comes out on top. It's the 7th round for Seekers.
And Seekers finally able to stop the tear that Godset has been on. And what a mess of a round still. Like Yuki coming in on the left side of that smoke, not being cleared out, and then lots of trade happening back and forth. And then Fractured in this 1v2 is able to find the first, but with the time so low, Sultanate just has to just dance around, make sure that he doesn't full stick, and that's all they have to worry about. And this is a 4-7, so if Godset can still close out this last round, it's still a pretty solid half.
Hawk out. Blinded.
We're seeing some signature aggression. A recon bolt and a sky flash are going to confirm the presence of both teams to each other. The dog runs right past Face Kid. Is this what we think it's going to be? That close angle bait? I don't think Godset has pulled it off at all this defensive half. And they might just find the opportunity, but no, Seekers is playing with the idea of completely rotating off.
Yeah, this is the first time we've ever seen Godset play this kind of aggressive shower positioning, and that tag means a good free kill for Face Kid. Very nice play, Godset. Finally opting to take that shower position and instantly paying rewards off there. And now it's going to be very, very tough for Seekers. 4v5 situation. They got out the Al drone, and that's about it when it comes to utility that they've got removed from the board. So still lots of difficulty, but looks like Yuki's going to try to sell a fake towards short A.
Out go the Seekers, and that's going to give some idea of presence because one goes towards Hookah. They understand B is a little bit weaker. The two others going to A lets them know it's stacked. Bad here is going to spot a couple in the Hookah and respond with the flash to try to at least stall the rush in, but Pain Shells are going to do the same thing in reverse. And so that's going to allow Scarecrow to get right on in with the satchel, and a fight breaks out, but neither one comes out on top. A little bit awkward. Scarecrow uses the satchel to cross over to the cubby, and he is not cleared by Bad's Tasmanian Tiger. He's moving right on in. Tries to be good for two, only good for one. Sanji's the one who takes him out. Yuki in the Viper's Pit trying to get anything done is able to find Fractured and is moving around ever so patiently. His buddy Jax finding another one as well. Sanji in a 1v3 spots Jax but cannot land all the bullets. 4-8. Godset moves to the attacking side with a 4-round disadvantage.
Yeah, and that's going to be very, very tough to come back from, especially if Seekers know what they are doing on defense because of the fact that this map does tend to be a little more defense-sided. And on top of that, they've got the Sage, they've got a Viper, and they've also got Brimstone, which means that a lot of these map areas on defense are going to be fully smoked off, if not walled off. And that means that you've got to play a very default heavy attack side on Godset, and if they can't do that and get out all the smokes and all the different types of utility that they have to be stalled on, it's going to be a very tough time, and it's really looking like Seekers have a big advantage in this one.
Here we go with this fast pistol approach. The wall by Jax is going to deny everything out of Hookah though, and Face Kid and Bad working together to try to take more territory, but because so much time has been used to stall, we're seeing rotates coming out from the entirety of Seekers, and in the teleporter, we're going to find a couple of plays. Time actually finding this first pick onto Fractured. The door's open, and this is going to force Godset to watch their posterior.
Execute
Here we go,
begins as Bad finds one and Sanji finds another. That's a very good execution so far. No lost lives, but Scarecrow's going to start moving towards the Suka position. Gets spotted out by Sanji and tagged a little bit. Octart as well, but is not able to hit the mark. Yuki's going to spot two in a free lineup kill, and there goes Sanji and Bad. Now it's down to just Face Kid as well as the Omen, and Face Kid is good for one, but Eden goes down, and Yuki finishes off the last, and that's a nice retake coming out from Godset.
Thank you.
What a very difficult round. The positioning on the bomb there, Yuki really taking full advantage. We see them line up right here. Sanji with a dink, and then as well Bad crouched behind. To not have that elbow control in this type of a situation really hurt Godset in that round. And now again, moving forward with the pistol, the anti-economy in the favor of Seekers.
Yeah, and this is going to be really, really tough. Now, losing pistol also means you lose another round after that if they can't make something miraculous happen right now. So let's see what they decide to do, and it looks like Godset are going to fan around the map here. Not going to play it towards B long, but take up every other lane. Nice. Brimstone smoke towards Shower is going to stop the push and the choke, and this choke is very strong for the Spectre in that position.
This is what we were talking about earlier with the double controller comp being able to stall ever so perfectly. Pain Shell's coming out, taking a bit of damage. Scarecrow with a returning fire of his own. Fractured is going to go down, and so will Face Kid.
Yeah, and so now we've got Bad moving up towards the long position. Nice flash coming out from Sultanate, and that's going to be so good for Sultanate in finding the first kill, and now it's just a 5v2 situation. Really tough if you're Godset. What you're looking for here is to get as many frags as possible to get Seekers completely off, and that means that they can try to plant the spike or do something that would be great, but 35 seconds. Clock is still ticking, and it's not on the side of Godset. That's going to be an arrow towards backside. Sultanate, another good flash. The running gun is good onto Eden, and it's going to be a flawless coming out from the side of Seekers. 10-4. This is the round that's going to be very important when it comes to Godset coming back in this match. They need to find the kills that from long range with these rifles and not walk into these Spectres in the close range. Five Spectres on the side, or 4 Spectres, excuse me, on the side of Seekers with the 1 Frenzy as well. So we'll see how Godset do choose to play this part of the game, as this is going to be the pivotal moment.
Here.
Camera comes out, is going to get a little bit of information, or none at all, as we see the brimstone smokes, the sky smokes covering out. Sanji is going to go ahead and use a floor drone to make sure everything is clear, and that's a very nice way to avoid anything cheeky being played around the smoke. Yuki gets an idea of what presence is happening, and Face Kid getting on top of this double stack. Not a common play that we see, but one that could be strong depending on how they force Yuki to play, and it works out just fine. Sanji getting that first pick into the A site, but Jax has clear control of U-Haul, and again, it's a Spectre in that short range. Time is going to be spotted with the tripwire, and Godset is being collapsed on in a way that Seekers never were when they were on attack. So this is going to be a difficult round to deal with. Eden has to win this fight against Time. Fractured is the one who's going to get it. Sultanate moving on in with his buddy Scarecrow, both of which fall to bad, and it's a 4 versus 1 for Jax, who gets spotted by Eden and immediately taken out. You were talking about rounds that needed to be won. Godset wins it. 4 agents still on the board. This is the time where they can swing things back, and they're building up towards some strong ultimates as well. The thing is, that same thing can be said for Seekers. I mean, look, 2 off the Viper's Pit, 4 from the Showstopper, 7 or 2 more from Brimstone's ultimate. They are ready to rumble.
Yeah, and this is also another important round. Every round is actually important now for Godset, because they need to start building economy, and they need to get that comeback started. 3 rounds away is Seekers off of that win. That bird is going to find some information towards Fountain, knows that there could be at least one there, and they decide to fall back a little bit, even though they don't get any trade utility out. That's a good snake bite, and that snake bite's going to catch Face Kid trying to cross back with no help on the utility, and caught in a very awkward position as that, and that's going to give Seekers a 5v4 advantage.
Now what's weak here is Seekers positioning around P. They're split up, Jax and Sultanate. So if a pick can be found, just like Fractured does here, things can go a little bit faster, and so they do. Sultanate with his own Seekers are going to try to respond and stall. He is good for 1, but gets blinded, is not good for another. Eden takes revenge. It's a 3 for 3. Godset taking the site, but the spike is not yet planted. I like this cage from Fractured to stall out as much as possible, but he reloads, giving away his position. Scarecrow is going to be flicked on. Fractured good for 3, and he moves right on into the face of Yuki to take a 4th kill. Absolutely dominant performance by Fractured in that round.
Yeah, Godset kicking it into 3rd gear right now, finding everything in the bag. Little bit of a misplay here from Scarecrow. Scarecrow definitely should have heard that reload from Fracture and should have been aware that a player could have been Cubby running into that smoke, but a little bit of a mistake there, and that round could go a little bit different, but very great play from Fracture there. Immediately after killing Scarecrow, goes for the spray transfer as he knows that the cage will drop very soon, and now it's going to be an eco coming up from the side of Seekers.
Oh, beautiful kills coming out by Face Kid and Sanji.
Omen, smoke, dark cover, and the Cypher's cage to cover on the plant. Seekers need to try starting to spam through those smokes. It's not as good as a Sage wall, especially if you keep planning default on that front truck area. It's very easy to spam if you have control of both triple and showers, and it's the same idea that Godset needed to employ. But Facekit on this off angle should be able to find one on a spam. Gets caught out with the util in hand, but the trade comes through from Fractured, and Sanji with the nice headshot there. Now it's just Salt Nate with a Spectre and no HP left.
Oh my god, it's an absolute flood. And I'm not sure if I saw that correctly, but I think Sultan tries to go out with the swing and was good for one, but does flash themselves.
Yeah, it could have been the half flash where you don't get full flash by your own flash, and then it fades off your screen a little bit quicker. But even still, just a sheriff in hand, not able to do any more damage to the economy. And now we're going into our big rifle round once again. This is the round that Godset need and Seekers want if they can try to close out the rest of if they want to close out the rest of this game. And once again, it's the Viper's Pit being used off rip in the short position. Not a lot of shower presence on the side of the A site, and a 3 stack on B here with double guarding.
Look at all this technology being used long. Oh, Jax on that cheese wall looking like Grim.
Yeah, very nice off-angle wall from Jax there. That's going to let the side of Seekers hold on to this garden position as well as take one as with them. Nice satchel coming through. It's going to try to get a little more chip damage, and they're holding on to this garden position very well. Paranoia comes through, and Scarecrow's going to actually get him blinded first, but now they're going to start losing control of the space. 4v4 situation. Eden has lurked into a very nice position.
And there we go, bursting into B site. Jax in the tube is going to get rid of Eden, who is being a little bit of a nuisance. And he flashes away, bad taking that pick in time with his sky smokes as well as the ultimate, trying to make anything happen to just get a pick. They need to kill one of the Godset players to turn this into an advantageous 1v2.
Yeah, Spike planted in an unorthodox position, meaning that Godset can't fall back to Garden to play the post plants. Both are stuck on site, and it's just Time and Yuki in the retake. They're both not in positions to play off each other, so it's going to be 2 solo plays that are going to have to go their way. Time wins the first one, and the trade comes back immediately onto Yuki as the 1v2 does go in the way of the Seekers, but it was a costly round, and that could mean that Godset still have the economy to play for the decks, and Seekers might not.
Just absolutely look at this Sage wall. It's that kind of cheese positioning, those off angles that catch players off guards and really turn the tide of battle. Godset was very confident moving up along with all of this utility, and to be caught off guard like that by Jax is exactly what turns the round around. It's an impact frag.
Alright, 11-7 here, and 2 Spectres on the side of Seekers. Economy damage was done indeed, and oh, Scarecrow's gonna go for a big play.
Maybe not so big as Facekit lets that explode in his face. Head's taken off here and there. Bad finding one of his own. They're looking like headhunters rather than Valorant agents. They're moving on into the A site. And Yuki here has his one-way up for showers, but it's going to have that line of sight cut off with the dark cover.
Yeah, huge misplay from Scarecrow there. Might have even cost the round. That showstopper could have been good for 2, but ends up being good for none. And now Fractured and No Salt Nate's fully stuck on the left side of the showers position. Every piece of util is going to be hitting Sultanate here. No chance there. 8-11 for Godset. They're coming back into this one.
This is the type of hope and narrative that I need. They came with a very weak 4-8 first half and clawing up, fighting tooth and nail to just try to get back into a round even score or even ahead. They ideally would like to win these straight rounds and avoid the overtime. but it might look to be that we're going to 24 plus rounds. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here in round 20 having a little bit of a timeout. We're going to go ahead and to look at some replays with a quick break.
I'm getting word that we're not going to be going to a quick break. This is just going to be a quick timeout, and then we're going to be back into the action very shortly. So Seekers and Godset, very close game here. Godset on the run to make it back and win over Seekers here, with especially how much the economy is on the side of Godset, even though they are down in the rounds. They've won 4 out of the 3 rounds, but the rounds that they've gotten have strung together and given them how much they have. So if Seekers are trying to get back into this one, it's going to have to be the round after that, and if they don't win it, that should actually mean that the game will be equalized up. So as we go into this one, we'll see what Seekers have in store for their next gun round, but I'm guessing that this timeout was not for some sort of crazy eco play that's going to happen in this round.
Certainly, judging by map position, I think you'd be right, Bowser. We're moving on. Scarecrow in, trying to get a pick with the Marshall, but no, Face Kid won't let it happen. This Raze v Raze narrative is really being heavily pushed by the players. Sultanate with the Marshall, however, finds a little bit of success, but Face Kid gives him that same treatment of the no, drop dead. He moves forward, it's a third onto time, uses the paint shells to zone heaven, and it's Godset's space on the A site.
And quick work of that one, Godset makes as brings the scoreline up to a 9-11. Sultanate does do some decent eco damage, finding Fractured with the Cypher Cage in hand. Tries to make a play his time there, but Face Kid with a nice track gets the headshot, and the last one to boot that one down. So looking at this round, it's going to be a big one. We've got the Resurrection on Jax as well as the Viper Pits on Yuki. So they're going to have to make use of that very, very well. It's going to be the Viper Pits towards short as well. So that should stop the short push that was looking to be occurring. And Face Kid is going to get really aggressive here.
Oh, these nades are popping out, bouncing back and forth, looking like a tennis court.
There.
This is the same Viper play that we saw earlier, but Scarecrow's so aware of it. Someone boosted over that Viper's pit on that short box, and now it's a 3v4 situation for the side of Godset, with the Hunter's Fury still to be used. There's the Resurrection to bring it back 4v4, but Jax with a huge play gets 3 there and swings it back in the favor of Seekers. What a play from Jax, the Resurrection bait into a 3-man kill on all the swinging players from Showers there. Jax saving that one and putting this one into the match point. Still lots of economy on the side of Godset though.
All I have to say about that round is, what's the line? That's going in the highlight reel for sure. Something like that.
Yeah, you nailed that one perfectly. I would never dare try that on broadcast. But in the highlight reel it goes, and 9-12 goes the score as Seekers 1 off away from winning this one.
Scout destroyed. Poison orb remaining.
Things looking pretty intense here for Godset. I mean, look at just how they're stacking 4 up to A short. Hunter's Fury comes out of Sanji, and he's trying his best to tag someone, anyone, but not quite able to get any information or damage out with it. And they're going to be constantly stalled here on A. Again, those sky smokes just being an absolute nuisance. And this wall has also denied Fractured any ability to move further into B.
Yeah, and that's the power of Sage as well as the double controllers. This is such a interesting comp to see from Seekers. Very good in the meta as well. Oh, and the Judge Blade does not work out for time there, but Face Kid is brought down to 39 HP. Godset starting to move towards the B site instead, and there's going to be the Seekers of the Seekers coming out. Jax with a nice spray through smoke finds one that Jax should not have gotten, but Sanji trades back as the recon dart is scanning. Face Kid into the back site. Sultanate tries to go for a smoke spray of his own.
Spike planted.
Health bar's very low on the side of Seekers.
Oh, they got Sky, you know, nice heals all around. As things move, it's a 3 versus 4 out of CT, and Bad is just in position to find one. Goes for the flash, but the timing is just not in his favor. He gets sprayed down by a fully blind agent, and the wall by Yuki is going to just keep Godset guessing. They're somewhat aware of what's going on, and a beautiful pick by Fracture to save the life of his buddy Sanji. The Neural Theft goes out, revealing Sulcinate, but Fractured is just one step ahead. It's 10-12. Things are looking a little bit shaky for Godset, but they're right on this cusp. Bowser, it feels like the momentum is shifting back and forth. We're seeing a pendulum.
Yeah, these teams are not relenting right now. They are putting blood, sweat, and tears to the rest of this game. It's going to be down to the wire if you ask me, but before that, there's going to be one eco round that coming out from Seekers as they head into the 10-12 round with a couple stingers. And it would be very, very saddening if Godset weren't able to close this round. But Face Kid prevents any chance of that happening by finding time through the smoke. Scarecrow is going to cut off the Tasmanian Tiger, but Paint Shell's coming in through showers, and now it's going to be 2 players stuck on the side of Seekers, and Godset. Face Kid is going to clean this one up very well. Nice fighting right there.
Last player standing.
Oh, this U-Haul control is really paying off with Jax able to find a kill. Fractured to return the favor, but it's already 2 picks because of said U-Haul control. And the flick out of Jax is going to make it a 3rd. Godset is being picked off one by one. And these angles might be supportive of each other, but the timing needs to be perfect. If Fracture just caught on his camera, it might not work in his favor. No, it's the double swing for Eden and Frack together. They secure this kill, moving into round 24. This is where overtime is settled or the game ends, Bowser.
Yeah, and so it's going to be important to see how players are playing around that showers control. It really seems like the further we got into that game, the more and more util was being spent in that area. And we saw it that round, like paint shells, guiding lights, the sky smokes. But it does look like they're going to be leaning towards B site where the 3 stack is. And there's 3 ultimates on the side of Seekers as well.
Somebody out.
Coming in, it seems to be an attempt at a fast take by Godset. Again, these paint shells are being traded. These razors are constantly meeting face to face, and we see another stage wall. This time around, Godset is a little bit more aware. They want to get a spray through kill through the wall, but Jax is just positioned well enough so that they're not going to take any damage whatsoever. Time in a nice position under, and this is a 4 stack towards B. Godset seemingly not ready to relent quite yet. Eden trying to make the pick onto Scarecrow, but can't quite finish the job, and this is the opportunity that Scarecrow needed to just go back to 100 health. He retreats to the healers on his team, and Time finding a second pick onto Godset does not make things look good for them.
Yeah, and Seekers 5v3, all the players full HP. This is going to be very tough for Godset. Sanji gets this one. Scarecrow trades back immediately, though.
I got this spot.
Bad here moves into Garden. Good for 1, good for 2. It's a 2v2 situation, but he's got 16 health. He pops the Seekers after teleporting, and I'm not sure how much information this is going to give. Enough to push Yuki off of the site. With 18 seconds left, they suspect Bad has the spike and want to just keep him off and away from planting. They're doing exactly that. He has no health, and Fractured is able to go ahead and get the spike in his hands, but will he finish the job? 1v2 scenario because the resurrection came out.
Oh, Fractured eats the entire guiding light, and that's gonna do it. Sulcinate cleans up that one. 13-11. What a great game from both teams there. Such amazing play around the bind map, and it's so exciting to watch every single time that players pick this map. I've never seen mirror comps. That's always been some sort of difference. The double initiator versus the double controller with a Sage as the solo sentinel, no Cypher, no Killjoy. It's so exciting to see when this game just brings so much different meta.